Are you listening?
Welcome to Insequeer the podcast, and I'm your Insequeer as fuck ass host, Chloe Beck. And if you are here, you are queer, or you love my queer storytelling. And bitch, when I tell you, I'm probably gonna have a story to tell you, but I'm pretty sure I don't know what it's gonna be. But buckle up, bitch, because we're about to get into it. All right. So, welcome back to season 2 of Insequeer the podcast. On that last episode, I talked a lot about how I'm gonna reclaim my 20s and unearth some more shit and definitely celebrate my 25th 35th birthday with a bang, if God lets me bang for that long. And to be fully transparent, happens every time. To be fully transparent, I set another goal for myself of I took off of social media for February, and I was like, I'm gonna take that time to at least stock up some episodes so I don't feel the anxiety of having to record or release them on a time specific. Although I've never told you guys if I'm a bi-weekly, weekly, daily podcast. I operate on that bi-weekly timestamp. And what I loved about when I was first starting the project is that since no one knew it existed, there was no time around it. And then once it started to do what it does, and like you all started to listen and engage with it, it put me in that place of, oh shit, you gotta find a system, because the people want your shit. They want to know what you're insecure about. They want to hear your voice, and you want them to hear it. Excuse me, but that took some time, and the other truth about that is, like, I was recording this in the thick of, I was recording season 1 in the thick of the pandemic and the lockdown, so it was easy to kind of crank them out a little bit, or at least kind of build up my bank of episodes. But now that I am back into the world is open, even though it shouldn't be, and my job is, while we're still semi-remote, fluid about what's in person, what's not, meetings are appearing, and tasks are kind of getting more and more back to that pre-COVID norm. Coupled with that month off, I really jump-started into really being honest about how it's time for me to exit my current career and move on. And then I think that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. So I've alluded to it several thousand times. I've alluded to it, and I've always been very close to the chest and or private IVs. I've been very private about kind of my work-ish and like what it means to me-ish, because I talk about I have frenemies, or I have colleagues, or I have ears watching me, ears don't watch, bitch, they listen. But you get what I'm saying, because you can watch me on YouTube and you can listen to me on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, bitch, we out here. But I said all that to say, because I wasn't so sure about my next steps, I didn't want to say anything that would be damaging or like defamation of character, or defamation of my ability to progress in my current place of employment, or even in my profession as a whole. But the truth is, I'm done. I am done doing this, because this was not what I was ever supposed to do. Now, while I'm not done in the sense that I suck in my job and I quit and I'm lazy and I'm giving you just the bare minimum, because I'm passionate and I will do anything to the best of my ability, even though it doesn't serve me or feed me or speak directly to my passion place anymore, which is what my current work used to do. And I mean, I think I've matured and I've grown up, and I've really realized that, you know what they say, I think Generation Z like has 4 or 5 career changes. And I'm still in that millennial. I'm a millennial who was kind of pulled in between Z and what was before us? Boomers, X, shit, I don't know. But the generation before me, I just told someone recently, like, I'm so envious of the generation before us and the generation after us, right? So to break that down before I get into the job shit, as I kind of chronicled on the birthday episode, I feel as though 34 does not remotely speak to who I really am, or the experiences that I've had, or the truth and how I feel and want to maneuver my life moving forward. But because I was raised by the generation who said, go to school, get a job, keep your head down, work for somebody, retire with a gold watch, if you're white, hetero, mentally well, whatever. But the thing is, they fed us all that narrative without thinking about SES, traumas, assaults, mental health, slavery, racism, all the isms that kind of indoctrinate my Black, queer, fat woman, masculine presenting body. But I grew up hearing that message of a white picket fence, red door, 2.5 kids, success, working for somebody, staying loyal to a company because they'll be loyal to you. So I started my career very much in that mindset, on top of I picked a career that made sure that I would always have a home or a place to lay my head, because growing up where I grew up, there is no safety net. There is no, I'm also very envious of those movies, which I now know are not just movies, which are actually like real people can have this experience. I'm always so envious of that person who can bring their fiance home and then go upstairs, and open their bedroom door and it's perfectly placed as if it was the day they went off to college 10 years ago. So you can just walk right back in and pick up your baseball cards or find your dirty magazine or like rolled up bag of pot that's been there since 1982 or whatever the fuck the narrative is. I didn't have that life when I was living at home. So I don't know why it's so jarring that I don't have it now that I can't go back home. But I'm so envious of that generation, because that is a picture they painted on all of us, even though they didn't have equity for us to all achieve it. And then I'm also extremely fucking envious. I'm so envious of the generation after us, because that generation knew by watching us struggle, like, bitch, I am not trying to work for nobody's nobody, fuck getting a gold watch. Which is why I shout out to Cicely Tyson, because I listened to her episode when Oprah released it shortly after she passed away. And Cicely Tyson tells this amazing story about how, I think she was a secretary at a medical office or some type of office sitting where like it's a bunch of women at desks with little keyboards, not keyboards, typewriters, because time specific. And she was young into her career, and there was a lady next to her. She remembers the lady's name, what the lady was wearing. Like, it was such an impactful aha moment for her, that either this lady was retiring or had hit some sort of milestone in her career, and they kind of just like, everybody stopped and they just rolled out to this lady this little bitty gold watch. And in that moment, Cicely Tyson literally stood up and said, like, she kind of broke. It's like, this is not for me. I'm not going to be doing this kind of job. Not verbatim, but like, she had a moment where she really stood up at her desk as this Black little woman and said, this ain't the shit for me. And she said that's when she knew that her life was supposed to be the life that she ultimately lived and exited so gracefully. So I think the generation after us, you all, those of you who might be in it, I think you all are in an amazing place, because you see this Generation X, or I'm sorry, millennial, we're millennials. See, I don't know what my generation is, but I know I'm a millennial, but I grew up so close to the cusp of X. And I feel like I'm on the cusp of whatever the fuck this generation is after me, Z, Q, generation. We're all content creators, business owners. Our mental health is our motivation, that generation. So I struggle with it, because I have a niece specifically who is in her early 20s, and the way she speaks to me, or the way that she wants my support and my help, but wants the freedom to go and do and follow and chase her dreams. And here I am trying to imprint on her the same bullshit that I feel prisoned to, is like, hey, get an education, hey, get a job, hey, do this, and this, when the real world is showing us all it really takes is 1, 2, 3 viral videos, and then you're literally getting a Beyonce box because you know how to make a buffoon of yourself, because you're not afraid to be funny or authentic or scary or insert whatever it is that you're throwing on this platform that they kind of told us to be scared of, right, in my generation. And that's another part of why I struggle, because in my generation, we were the first niggas to get Facebook. Like, I was the first class to receive Facebook, when you had to do CHLOEB at bgnet.bgsu.edu. That was my email address. Like, back then you had to have a BGNet. Like, it wasn't just at NYU or at UGA or at wherever the fuck else. It was literally like, when you got on Facebook, it was only other niggas in college who were trying to figure it out. Like, we were just the generation to really understand email, to really get like, oh, MySpace. Like, so we were new in it, but like, even before it took off and became this thing that I know I deserve and it's for me and I can dominate it, before I got to see it that way, it was impacted with rules, regulations, and this whole thing about being professional, right? So then when I'm on social media, which I haven't been for over a month because I'm still not back because y'all didn't miss me. I logged in for one day on the day that I said I was gonna go back. You niggas, the same 5 niggas was in my DMs, not talking directly to me. Nobody missed me. Nobody's like, hey bitch, haven't seen you post. Are you dead? Even though when I do post, 600 niggas watch my stories, laugh at my stories, engage with my stories. But that just lets me know that you all know that we're not friends and I'm for your entertainment. So while it was free, you enjoy it. But I say that to say that is not my community. So I'm not quite back on the social media kick because I have a lot of shit going on in my brain that's definitely gonna come out. But I, Chloe Beck, have so many things to say. I have so many things to say, so many things to do, so many skits and commentaries and things like that. But since I'm still in this world that told me to do it this particular way, I don't want anything, or this is the fear that they indoctrinated in my generation, I think specifically, especially those who actually went to college the traditional way and thought we were going to be the future that Whitney Houston and them was singing about. You know, I can't just post and do those things because my feet, my paycheck, my livelihood, my plants, my dogs, my partner, my family, my mother, everybody is on my shoulders, and I am the safety net for so many facets of my life that I can't really just get on there and hit you guys with the commentary of what I'm thinking. I can't really just toss you guys the truth just yet. Like, our generation is always in queue. Like, generation, we're in queue, like, ooh, or some of us, most of us, including me, we wake up and then we wake up angry and bitter and mad because we followed some people who are our parents, and we're looking at them like, y'all are miserable. Y'all were so busy doing what the fuck y'all were doing that we became latchkey kids who raised ourselves, who got touched and molested and all these other things because y'all was out there working for the white man or the black man with a little bit of white power or whomever the fuck your supervisors were. So much so that you couldn't be there for yourself. So now we're looking at you be mentally unwell, physically unwell, and then we look at you being bitter because we're not following you anymore, or we're following you, but now we're mad that we're following you. And then, you know, here we are pivoting, looking at this generation coming up, and I can't speak for y'all, but I'm angry, I'm envious, I'm jealous, I'm mad because I'm like, bitch, how the fuck do y'all not care about your social media footprint or your digital footprint? How is it that, like, okay, social media is great, right? Social media is great. I remember this one time this really cool thing happened called Facebook. And it was this coveted, amazing thing. And now that shit is born for old people who are now retired, who just want to post about Obama, post about Trump. If I get one more Jesus loves me chainmail fucking thing, like, Facebook is obsolete, right? So I think about people who are on, for example, OnlyFans, which I am thinking about it every day while it's oversaturated. But I think I have a niche. That I can really make pop. I've been toying with it. But like, I think about the OnlyFans, I think about the Instagrams. I've downloaded TikTok only because I thought Trump was really gonna make it disappear, and I wanted to make sure I at least had it on my phone in case I got the courage or the ba, 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 ba. You know how them niggas be pointing and they be like, you can suck my dick, but their fingers are nowhere near I didn't want to be that. I didn't want that to show you my age, because people who are my age on TikTok look stupid. But that's for them, because a lot of them who look stupid with 10,000 likes, follows, streams, whatever the fuck you get there. But I say all of that to say, in this rant, at some point, all of this shit becomes obsolete. And I'm like, once you put what you put out there, once you become this thing, if you don't have the right backing, the right financing, the right people in your corner to make sure that you're not just buying Jordans with your royalties checks, if you will, or whatever the case may be, like, what kind of legacy or what kind of, like, credentials, what kind of space will you be in if TikTok left today and you're a TikTok star? I think about the one specifically where I knew I was a star on it, but like, I was a star on it before people became stars on it, but then people who have budgets and crews took it over. I think about that. What was that one that it was really quick and it was like these little 3-minute videos? It was kind of like TikTok meets Snapchat. It was see, then this is a prime example. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, because there was this cute little white girl I used to watch on there all the time. She said she smelled like beef. A lot of people's careers jump started on this particular app, and that app was so big and so powerful, and I can't even remember the name of the app right now. So if you remember the name of that app when you hear this, please tweet me or message me, or post it on one of my old pics, because I don't even know how I'm going to really incorporate Instagram again right now in terms of promotion. But whatever that app was, there are people who became so famous on that little app, that little bitty video thing, and now that apparatus doesn't exist. So as someone who wants or who has been able to acknowledge out loud that I have abandonment issues, and I have security concerns, and I have this anxiety around, once again, I'm gonna keep saying the same shit because it's still true. While I'm trying to be on the marquee, the truth is the likelihood of somebody sleeping under the marquee, while not for me, that is a constant fear for me, because I grew up sleeping under the marquee, if you will, right? So I grew up at the bottom. So like the thing about when you start at the bottom, the higher you climb, the scarier the bottom feels, right? So I'm always just a little envious, angry, concerned, and bothered by people like my niece who are like, fuck you, I'm gonna go DJ and I'm gonna just pack up my shit and move to a whole nother state with no plan. Like, wow, determination, drive, but like reality, is it in check for that generation underneath me? And now I'm here like, oh, like I said on episode 8, I think you should listen to Kanye. Like, I've always been this creative, cool, kick-ass person, but I had to make sure I had a kick-ass career that made me sure I didn't have my ass kicked into the welfare. While there's nothing wrong with that, and we're in a pandemic and you get your service and they owe it to us and whatever the case, but it's all fucked. That was never the dream I wanted for myself. So I said all of that to say I'm actively trying to job search, but I picked a position, I picked a city, I picked a campus, I picked a lot of things that have kind of stifled me and stuck me. So now that I am ready to pivot away from this level of professionalism, because the work that I do is very scrutinized, and reputation matters, and all the luxuries and all these things like can be snatched from you, especially if you don't have a support system in your current place of work. So I'm not just speaking about me specifically, because I've been working for 10 years, but in all of those instances, I knew very quickly that, dare I say it, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, but the Lord happened to be your employer, right? For those of you who don't know, I work in student affairs. I work in residence life. I supervise residence halls, and I engage with students, and we do all these things, and it was something that I was good at, and I happened to go to school at a place where people were Black and brown, and they championed my voice, and they wanted to hear it, and they told me I could be great, and I could lead, and I could make a difference, and I believed it, because once again, when I talk about it on those previous episodes, and if you have not gone back, please go back to season 1. You will know so much more. So when I drop all of these, remember when I said, you will know exactly what I said. But I was told that I was going to be and experience and have all of this, but because I went to a school that had dropped what we call the historically underrepresented scholarship, meaning all the Black niggas from Cleveland, Detroit, Cincinnati, we all kind of like Million Man marched ourselves to Bowling Green State University. So from the years of 2005 to 2009 specifically, I felt like I was at a Howard University, even though back then we were still only 12% Black. But when you're in the 12% Black, it feels like 2000% Black. And then a cool thing about that campus at that time, every office, every hall director, every assistant director, every director of Greek life, everybody was Black as fuck, or they loved our Black voice. They wanted it. Like the white people in my college career, I remember two. One, a lady, I don't even know her name, and this guy who I recently emailed, because we'll talk about him in another episode, because it's about the pop culture shit. It's about me and a PhD. We'll get there. But I say that to say, like, and this is something I thought, ironically enough, I was like, and another thing they do to divide and conquer and create this bullshit for Black people, because they don't want us to rise up. They don't want us to do that, is they would say, if you go to an HBCU, it's not realistic, because the real world is not Black like that. That's what I would hear. If you go to an HBCU, they're not even accredited all the way. They're not respected. It's not these things. So like me, which is something else. Like I am easily persuaded out of my Blackness. Well, it has been my experience that I allow trying to get that white picket fence and that red door and that 2.5 kids and the dog named Spot. I liken myself to wanting that so much because I watched the fucking Wonder Years. I watched the Cosbys. I watched all this stuff that fed me a narrative that was never supposed to be for me. That if anything came into my life that was gonna pull me from that, I avoided it. And I say that to say, go to an HBCU. Go, because Chloe back today, wish. I give anything to say I'm a Bison. I give anything to say at FAMU. I give anything to say Spelman. Shit, bitch, I'll be trans to say Morehouse. You know, like I see the value in the blackness, and I'm sad that I have been estranged from it in the way that I have been. But I say all that to say, it is not wrong, because the thing about going to a PWI, and for those of you who don't know, that is a predominantly white institution, an HBCU, historically black colleges and universities. The fact that I went to a PWI that had a filter of HBCU on it made me think that, hey, white people aren't so bad. Like, it's really not that serious. Like, I was interviewed recently by someone, and they wanted to kind of talk about what it was like for me on campus. And I said the same thing that I'm going to say here. Ultimately, the same place that built me up and told me I was this amazing entity did not prepare me for the truth that was a very specific experience that I was receiving. Even in my grad experience, while I didn't want to believe it, literally going from Bowling Green, Ohio to Ohio University, very similar in makeup, but completely different in demographics. Like, it was white. It was white. And if you were black, you were 5 or 6 that were like black American, and then the rest were African of like prestige type. I'm African, and my dad is a doctor, and he's a professor on campus, and I'm a princess in Zamunda, or whatever the fuck they say. And that is no shade on my African brothers and sisters, but I'm just trying to be funny and prove a point. It was not the HBCU crowd surfing that I experienced at Bowling Green State University. It wasn't the a pretty girl rock that I experienced as being an AKA on a white campus. It wasn't that, and I should have seen it instantly. Like, it was a different, stuffier, more almost, dare I say, Ivy League type of institution, because it wasn't a state institution, right? Like, we were Ohio University. Small things like that make a big difference. But I still happen to have found a niche in the community. And like, when I say I was going through so many other things, I wasn't even paying attention to the landscape of things that I can acknowledge now that I feel like have stunted me into the seat that I'm currently sitting in. All of which is wrapped up in my socioeconomic status, right? Down to the job I chose, the assistantship I took, the career I currently sit in, all stems from me back then, who couldn't afford to go to the cool internship at Bowling Green State University. Bowling Green State University has a pipeline internship. Well, it was. I don't know what's going on there now. Shit is probably better now. But Bowling Green State University, I majored in telecommunications, minored in ethnic studies, because I had some Korean lady tell me you can't do anything with pop culture when pop culture runs the fucking world. That was one of those examples of listening to somebody else from another generation, from another culture, who didn't know my brilliance. And because I wasn't even tapped into my brilliance in that way, I listened, because I just wanted to make sure I had a place to stay, food to eat, and money to send my mom when she asks. And I'll tell you what, I got just that. But you know what? So I say all that to say, they, as a telecommunications person, you have to have an internship. And they had a premier at the time, a premier internship that literally sent people to work the Billboard Awards, one of those big awards, but it came with no funding, no backing, no housing, no nothing. And Chloe Beck, who was 18, 19, maybe had 4 pair of pants, 5 hoodies, a ton more once I started to spend my BG bucks at the bookstore. Still had permed-ish hair, but didn't know how to do it because my mom's a dyke, I was a dyke. And one of my friends, one of my associates, her mom said it best to me. Like, when she was listening to me talk, and she said, "You are literally a miracle." She's like, you could have easily been Precious. While I was Precious, because the bitch was fat as fuck, I still feel like Precious. I got rid of the us. I'm still that Precious. And the truth is, I did not have the fortitude to know that, hey, take out a credit card, because I took out my first credit card in college. But you want to know what I did with it? I bought drinks. I did sorority stuff. I did it didn't dawn on me that, hey, if you're going to go into credit card debt, it could be for you to, I don't know, book that ticket to California to buy 3 or 4 outfits that if you gotta fucking hand wash them out, do it, or go to one of these motherfucking Africans who worked at the student union and say, can you braid my hair? Because another thing is, like, there was such a divide between the African kids on our campus and the Black American kids on our campus. And I remember they used to come to the student union parties and want to dance, but they were outliers because we just did not know how to engage with our brothers and sisters. Like, we were disconnected, we were divided and conquered. But at the time, we looking at them like the only thing I knew about Africa was the fucking Feed the Children commercial, or literally Coming to America Zamunda. So it wasn't, what a lot of missed opportunities that I now feel as though I'm paying for now. I think karmically, I'm paying for some of that ignorance now. But so I didn't apply for that cool internship that I know for a fact if I could have made my way through it, I would be working with the Kardashians, or they would be working for me, because bitch, I could have been Ryan Seacrest. So, but like I said, then like that trickled into my grad school experience. So, and just based on the sheer fact that I didn't have the clothing, like I had that good interview outfit, like we did an interview weekend at Ohio University. I had that nice Old Navy slack, a fat bitch blazer, and a button up. But there were people who were looking like Carlton Banks, and you could tell that was their casual, right? So once again, I slid into the camp side of college, and not camp like posed camp or Lena Waithe at the Met Gala camp. And honestly, I don't even know what the fuck camp means, so I just keep saying it, hoping that one day I pick up enough context clues, because everything is camp, but nothing is camp. But the things that when I say it's camp, it looks like it's not camp. So if you know what camp is, can you also send me a YouTube tutorial to kind of break that down, because I don't get it. But excuse me, I mean camp, like Camp Anawanna, we hold you in our hearts, and when we think about you, it makes me wanna remember that? See, that's how old I am, Nickelodeon. So I picked Res Life because Res Life was always casual, right? Res Life were people who maybe had on khaki shorts, a good tee that had your big ass logo on it. You were still a leader, a thought provoker, but you were comfortable because you were where people came home to. So you didn't need to be Carlton Banks, Hillary Banks. You didn't need to be this popped, polished person, because you were doing the real work. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Not realizing to this day, Chloe Beck, who's still been sitting here in some version of a camp, while the school that I'm at now, camp in a whole nother way. I think this place is the camp that I'm talking about with Pose and all that other shit. Now I am trying to pivot into those. So I broke up. Okay, so those of you who don't know, student affairs, anything you do on a college campus, the offices, if you go to Bursar, if you go to the bookstore, if you go to the dining hall, if you sleep on campus, there are professional staff members who all damn near go get a master's degree and more to sit in those offices and those spaces and things like that. I didn't know that. The only thing I knew about college in that way was a resident assistant, and I thought about Pauly Shore and Son-in-Law, and I thought about Jaleesa and Sinbad in A Different World. But I didn't even Lottie or Hattie or whatever, one of the older ladies in the first few seasons, who used to stay on Denise's neck, and she's the one who told Claire that Denise thought she was going out of the country, but her grades was bad. She was a snitch. In true fashion, that is what my role is. Like, I am like a principal in a college dorm. So when they fuck up, they come to me, right? That's my job in a nutshell. Excuse me. Now, I've done this job in a few different places, and by far the place that I'm currently sitting in is the most prestigious version of a camp. I imagine this is the camp that like Lindsay Lohan went to in Parent Trap, like that bougie camp where the rich kids go, versus the camp with the fat kids, or the camp with the no advisors. I'm at like that type of camp. But even that, I say that to say, like, now that I'm in the space where I want to potentially go into some of those other offices, I still look, act, and feel just like that girl who saw niggas in khakis and thought it would be cool. Granted, here in New York City, nothing is camp, like in terms of Camp Anawanna camp. Everyone here believes in themselves in a different way, and you know, it's very premier and posh like it is, but I'm still the same Chloe who was 18, who, while I wanted to be at the internship, I was staying over summer, and while the other kids who had amazing internships just needed a place to stay over the summer. So it's always been my job to cultivate places for those people, but now I'm struggling to cultivate that place for me, which is why I say I'm so envious of those two other sides of these generations, because the generation after me would never fall victim to saying, you better make sure you maintain your job and you maintain a place to stay, because they would rather literally sleep in their car to chase their dreams. And hell, shit, I don't even have a car, and my dreams live where I live. I just don't know how to engage with them. And the people after me are like, hey, we did it our way. It worked out for us. It's your fault that you suck because we provided for you, right? Knowing that providing does not mean a place to stay, because some of them didn't even do that. But they could not tell us to chase our dreams because they didn't have dreams to chase, and the people after them didn't have dreams to chase or the means to chase them. That's not true. Everybody has a dream. Shit, Martin Luther King had one. He wasn't the only one. But the truth is, a lot of us who look like me, black and brown, and speaking and looking at me, I hope you're looking at me on YouTube because I have videos up now. The truth is, a lot of us who look like me don't have the luxury of being told to, hey, Chloe, you're really funny. Just go laugh, go make people laugh. Because at the end of the day, even to this day, like I'm sitting here saying all of this and terrified about what I've said on this podcast, and I haven't even said anything terrible. But I grew up with that. Like I grew up saying work needs to be work, separate needs to be separate, even though I work where I live. So the truth is, I can't even be so transparent because I'm scared if I say the wrong thing, it'll impede on this stuff. And once again, I'm underneath that marquee, which is why I am officially job searching. I am officially ready to leave this level of perceived and or real and or lived experience scrutiny. I am no longer interested in knowing that whatever I do on a stage somewhere in Philadelphia on my day off will get me fired on my day on. Like I don't want to be Craig getting fired on my day off for stealing boxes. While I do be stealing boxes because I'm waiting to pack them up so I can move off campus because I'm 34 years old and I've never signed a lease. And some people are like, hey, you got it good. You live here. You don't pay rent. You pay rent with every email. You pay rent with every interaction. You pay rent with every piece of your hair that falls out, every pound you gain, every holiday you miss. You definitely, Chloe Beck, paid rent when the pandemic hit and you could not leave to go see your mother who was in intensive care because your job needed you to be a first responder when no one else was here for you to respond to. So I am now maturing and growing up in a way that says it's time to go. But now I don't know if I have any transferables. I don't know how to sell myself. I don't know how to market myself. While I'm in several meetings with professionals with this, I'm paying for it. I'm taking meetings. I'm cold messaging people on LinkedIn. I'm finding my why again on my way out of this particular profession. But I still fucking hate that because I grew up saying, Kanye West, I always go back to him. He was not wrong, y'all. He was not wrong when he made those skits about that boy and his degree. Look at me, I have my degrees. I have my degrees. And because I grew up being told, get the degree, you need a degree to prove that you're the best thing that ever happened to life and they were still going to treat you like a shit. I am like, now I'm ready to pivot. I'm ready to go. I want to work for Vice Media. I keep saying it. Vice Media, manifesting. Vice Media works with me. They work with me. They partner with me. We are a contracted connection. But right now, if you looked at my resume, there is not a fucking thing on there that says Chloe Beck is a producer, director, writer, podcaster, like nothing. Because I was so busy trying to just stay clothed and fed and not be the statistic that society put on me way before my mom was shot up in her club by assault. And it just fucking is exhausting. It's exhausting. And that's honestly why I don't have, look at how I'm gonna tie this back all in together. And that's why I don't have those 5 or 10 episodes in queue, because my brain has been on mush about this. Because while I felt this way for a very long time, when the pandemic hit and I did not have to be this person for my career or for my job or for students who could buy and sell me twice, and I always liken it to the language that I know that always makes me feel skeevy, but the truth is I was no longer a sharecropper, a house slave. I was no longer the mammy who it was my job to rile all these people in and make sure they're okay. And you know how hard it is to be someone who grew up in the projects and have a student whose parent is Kelly Ripa, and try to talk to that person about, you know, doing the right thing. Now, keep in mind, this has not happened. Kelly Ripa, do not sue me, because this is all hyperbolic in thought. But because I always tell people, another one of my dreams is to be Kelly Ripa's best friend. Like, I want me and Kelly to be like Beyonce and Gwyneth Paltrow. So I'm not doing this to shade this. I don't know anything about her children. I don't know any of that shit. And this is the kind of cleanup I constantly have to do. How the fuck can I be the comedian and the funny and the risky person when I always gotta apologize? I always gotta be, shh, don't tell nobody but God. It gets old, it gets tiring, and it's killing me on the inside. But I say all that to say, Vice Media would look at my resume and say, you can sweep out the caboose. And for those of you who don't know, that is a Color Purple reference. And if you don't know, you should be not listening to this. Go watch The Color Purple. So that has been, so I say, I'm not gonna do it. So that has been what's been going on. I have not been able to really create, because I'm constantly in limbo trying to, I feel like I have to fly. And that's what I was gonna say. It took the pandemic for me to really, really see how detrimental I have been to myself and the experiences that I've allowed myself to stay in or be a part of or play my role in, when I could have been out here maximizing the blessing of free rent in this amazing city where you literally can walk next to a director, writer, producer, because you probably walk past me. But now that I'm ready to really go, because the pandemic freed me, I read, fun fact, I was 6 years old when I read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, because it was a book that was in my brother's closet. And because my mom was out doing her, I was left home alone a lot. And I had read through all my books, and I went and I ruffled through his closet, and there was a library book, the thick version, red cover, plasticky. I read that book at 6, and like I got it then. But like today, I'm like, I know why the caged bird sings. The caged bird sings just to make sure it's still alive, right? The caged bird sings just to still feel itself, because when you're in a cage, you feel nothing but those bars. And while I'm not in anybody's prison, God willing, I will never be in anybody's prison unless I'm going to speak and uplift and do comedy workshops for people in prison, because niggas in jail are funny. Because niggas in jail are people like me who just somehow got there, right? I didn't, you know how you can't see the forest for the trees? I'm just hitting y'all with all these isms and colloquialisms. The truth is that, like, while I knew I was not happy in my work, it took for me to really not have to keep running the race. Like, you know, another one, you don't realize you're tired from running the race until you stop running it, because a wind always kicks up, right? And that has been me in my career. Like after Ohio, I went to Georgia, and that's when I got my first taste of like, ooh, hierarchy, ooh, anti-blackness, ooh, racism, ooh, play your part. But then I made that dumb mistake of like, oh, you're in the South and you're not in Atlanta, so this makes sense. But if you come up north, this niggas left the South to get freed in the North. There is no way that the North should be oppressive, but I was wrong. I've been oppressed in the North. I feel oppressed. But I played my part. I oppressed myself because I did not have a lineage of how to do it. And I think that's another reason why I'm so envious of the generation after me, because they get to see how we're fucked. They get to see how mentally unstable we are. They get to see how hard it is for us to try to live our best life, but also get to work on time, also be authentic and fight for Black Lives Matter, but also not bring it up at work because you don't want to be the loud, angry Black woman. So it's a constant, Serena, girl, you deserve every dollar you get, because I'm playing a fictitious game of fucking tennis, and I am, woo, god damn, I'm tired. But they get to see us. Like, we were the future, and they get to be outer space, right? And I was just talking to somebody recently. I was like, at one point, we were the future. We were the ones who got to explain the internet and could set it up for our parents and knew how to order shit online for the first time. And now, like, we were iPhone 4S's. Remember when that dropped? I'm not even gonna say 3G, because that one, I couldn't afford that one. That one was literally $600. I remember holding it once, and I was always, to this day, I want them to go back to the bubble back or the two-tone iPhone. I hope they drop a retro line. And if you here first, because I'm a consultant as well. I'm a think tank of thoughts. But something about the 4S, because that's the first one I got, and I think that's what it is. When that 4S dropped, it was sleek and square and sexy, and it had like, it was white with like metal on it, and it was flashy, it was fast. Boom, boom, boom. Instagram, click. Although we weren't really doing that yet, it was more like click. At the end of the day, no matter how innovative the iPhone 4S was and how impactful it was and how it shaped the ways in which the iPhone has, I mean, since the iPhone 4S, we are still the framework of iPhone. It has not changed in terms of design since the iPhone 4S. It's gotten smoother, edgier, a few dots have changed, but that we were the base, we were the 4S. And then like I was telling my friend, no matter what, eventually the 4S, you can no longer update it. Like, yeah, the 4S was great, but nigga, we are on iPhone 12 Max S squared. So it sucks because they're looking at us like, look at these idiots. Yeah, we paved the way for y'all, and now y'all are just, that whole they crawled so we could soar shit, that was cute until I realized I was the one crawling. And it has just been such a stress because I am actively trying to, the thing is, like, when people say like career pivots and you wanting to do your job, and like I've had a few career coach conversations and they're like, well, what are you interested in? I'm interested in being a comedian. I'm interested in being a producer advice. I'm interested in being on air advice. I'm interested in being the first Black gay woman to have a nighttime TV show similar to Dave Letterman. But I don't know how to put that on a resume and say, give it to me. So the truth is, while I'm still chasing that shit, I'm not even chasing it because we're mutually connected. Like the coordinates are there. While I'm map questing it to there, because that's how old I am. And for those of you who are in the other generation, while I'm GPS tracking it or Wazeing it, because Waze is it now. See, even that once again, everything goes out of style. So for those of you who are on social media and making money on it and being such a creative, make sure that you can create a life that you can sustain and keep, and no one and nothing can take it from you, even if the thing that you built it on falls. That's the message for this podcast, but I'm going to go back. Now, while that is my trajectory, I still need to be able to have a job that can house me and do that for me and maintain that for me. And you're probably like, well, Chloe, it sounds like you're already in a place to do that. Why aren't you capitalizing on it? Well, let me tell you, I'm so glad you asked, because I know that's what you were thinking. Like, bitch, you just said rent is free. The work you do is not that hard, which I didn't say that, but it's not that hard. I'm innately great at it, which is why I've been doing it for 10 years. Coast. The hard thing about that is the mental health toll, and like there's some statistical or like just some data about the work that I do that is not for me to share, but it is taxing. And I applaud anybody who can work a 9 to 5 and then chase their dreams 5 to 9 or get their dreams in between 12 and 1 at lunch or up to 6 and 7 and 8. But like, hello, I don't know how many fucking times I got to say it, mentally unstable, mental health concerns, like constantly in therapy, thinking about therapy. When is my next therapy session? Have so much shit that I need to work through. I don't know what to spend my hour on in therapy. You know, movies like Girl Interrupted, I didn't understand then, but bitch, I know now. I, Chloe Beckham, interrupted. Can this girl go check in, right? But if I check in, I don't get the same Eat, Pray, Love experience. I check in and get the straight jacket and be defamed afterwards. I don't want to go out quite like that. And while I'm hyperbolic and light about mental health at the same time, I am fully more aware of the things in which I need to work through and the things that are going to continuously impede on me being the world's greatest that I already am, because my mental health needs a vacation. You know what? I don't even want to talk about my mental health. I just don't want to talk. Monks and Buddhists and people who take them vows of silence, say less, literally, because I hear you. But for a myriad of reasons, more so because of my age, because I'm 34, and because I wasn't astute financially and all these things, and I didn't really capitalize on 10 years of not paying rent. I forgot to really pay me first. I paid myself first for the first time in March. For the first time, I am the queen of pay all your bills, and then whatever you got left is yours. Fuck those bills. I paid myself first. Excuse me, I didn't pay myself nearly as much. I paid myself less than minimum wage, but it's a start. And the thing is about those kids who get to go up those stairs, turn that door and see their room never touched, they didn't have to be told to pay themselves first because they probably were born with a trust fund. If you just real estate alone, like having conversations about my resume, like one of my career coaches is like, every line on your resume is real estate. That makes perfect sense, because speaking of real estate, the same thing goes for literal real estate. Like the minute people move out where I come from, or if they get put out, or, you know, like your room doesn't get to stay your room. It becomes somebody else's room. It becomes a closet. We don't get the luxury to say we have so much space that we don't have to touch it. It's just picture perfect. So me not knowing those things and me not having the thing, it's like this crazy. They sell you the dream, but don't even tell you how to go to sleep. But I need to go for my mental health. I need to leave because I don't need to leave. I don't need to go. I am ready to go. I am grateful for everything that this career has taught me. And once again, here I am cleaning it up. Because if this is what I feel when I said that. I need to go. What I heard was somebody who really don't fuck with you, that's kind of been listening. Like, you know, I feel like I'm delusional, but I've lived experience. I feel like people are listening like FBI agents. All right, is she gonna say it? All right, everybody. It's like a Apollo launch. All right, everybody, here it comes. She's coming around. All right, 5, 4, 3. She said it. So I feel as though saying I need to leave is like, oh, bitch, you need to leave. Go. Knowing damn well that's not how HR works, which I will tell you how HR works. I don't know. You know, I just have that anxiety and that fear. And it sounds like imposter syndrome. That sounds like lived experience. That sounds like my truth. That sounds like I'm being pushed out of a profession that was never for me, but it still sucks to be pushed out so I'm choosing to walk out with my head held high in the situation. But it's time for me to walk out, because as a 34-year-old Black woman who has always lived in somebody's public assistance, or have been inherited a piece of a home, or gifted a home, but then the home shortly becomes in foreclosure, as someone who has never had the stability of my own keys and me being responsible for them in the way that it is not so tied up into all this shit, I need to have a set of keys that go to my apartment that are not in the same office space, building space as where I go to work. I don't want my coworkers and my students to be my neighbors. It's just that simple. I want to go to work or Zoom into work, because this shit should stay remote forever. And the jobs I'm looking at, it seems like it could be. I am actively ready to separate church and state. Separate. Furthermore, like my interests are getting more and more eclectic, and I don't want who I am in my home life to have to be curtailed or slighted because of who I am or where I work. And even that is such a big anxiety, because the truth is every office has its politics. Every office has this. And now that I am aware of that, I'm going to bring my most authentic self into every interview, because if you want to work with this Chloe Beck, who's going to keep this job until she's Saturday Night Live in it, which we'll talk about that later, you need to want me, appreciate me, champion me, support me, invest in me, hear me, understand me, respect me. Put that first. You need to respect me, hear me, pay me double, triple, bitch. If you need to know, you need to know what I look like with dry hair, black hair, blue hair, 3 tongue rings. Bitch, if I get Amy Winehouse tatted right here, I need my institution that I'm going to be affiliated with. And when I say institution, I do not mean in higher education, because I think I am done. The college graduate is about to drop out. I'm about to, for all my niggas that got degrees and now they don't want them, drop them off so you can go get your real life. That's me. So wherever I end up, I did it again. Oops. Wherever I end up, they need to know, appreciate, like, subscribe, rate, and enjoy me. And I need to be able to feel that if I have a hobby of improv or a hobby of stand-up, that while I'm not going to defame them or do anything that's going to bring shame upon our union, I'm going to be me. And y'all going to take it or leave it. Like after being somebody else for so long and saw how damaging, like when they say don't be nobody else but you, nigga, they mean it. Because I can't be the next bitch. I can only be me. And what I learned is that once I was truly me, they don't want me. So I got that message quickly. I was me. They said, we don't like that. I tried to be somebody else. Like, we don't like that either, because we don't want you. And now I know that. So the next place I'm in, the next experience I'm in, the next industry I'm in, they gonna have to want all of this 267 pounds of it, which it should be 200, but bitch, fat, depression, anxiety. I'm definitely gonna let my depression do a few episodes. I'm just gonna give the mic to my depression. Depression, are you here? Depression. Okay, she's not here right now, but she's gonna do a few episodes just fully on. So look forward to those, the depression seasons of Insequeer coming up soon. There's gonna be a few depression takeovers because, hey, fuck it. But yes, so yes, it's time for me to leave, and it's time for me to leave and work in a place where I want to learn new skills, because I'm not passionate about any work, because I just told you the work I want to do. So it's really hard to leave an industry that just drains your soul and then try to take what they gave you and turn it into something that somebody else will find viable and then go work for them. But I'm more than hopeful. I'm almost, I did a meeting recently, and I did this thing called, it's icebreakers, high, low, and hopeful. And my hopeful, or like my high was, for once, I'm overwhelmed with all the opportunities that I have. And like 2 years ago, 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago, I was overwhelmed because I felt like I had none. So same emotion, but different reason. Like, I'm overwhelmed with how close I am. Like, it's to the point where I'm starting to throw things away so I can make my move easier. Like, I'm that close. Like, I am, it's time, bitch. We gonna head out. But it's so annoying when they say, like, what do you want to do? Bitch, I don't know. I didn't go to school to do this, but here I am, did it for 10 years. Stellar, got some awards to prove it. Some people don't want me to leave. So for people to be like, oh, what do you want to do when you career pivot? I don't know. I just know I want to be paid well. I want to be able to maintain the lifestyle to which I am accustomed to. And I want to learn new things, because shit, I accidentally fell into this 10-year career. What if I accidentally fall into a career that I actually do care about, that will allow me to do both? And, you know, I don't know what I want to do. I have some ideas, most of which I'm constantly toying with. Do I go get another piece of paper to prove it? But when you look at the competition, I was in an interview recently with a student who works with me. So that should tell you what the job market looks like in this pandemic. Like, you are just starting your career. I'm on my last stitch to see if this is still the career for me. We're sitting in the same interview, and they're trying to pay me less than what I currently make now without the freebies. So I'm going to be talking about this a lot more, but kudos to the generation who gets to see all of our failures. and if you learn nothing else from us, continue to advocate for yourself, but make sure that you have health insurance. Make sure that you have enough money to at least get you a round trip ticket. Make sure that while you're crowd surfing or couch surfing, that you know that, like, the safety nets don't exist. Because if you guys are looking at us to be safety nets, we had a generation who couldn't even spell that. So don't think that we're gonna nail it. And, you know, for those of us in this generation, I see a lot of us making this pivot. I see some of you all who are light years ahead. I see a lot of you who can do the 9 to 5, 5 to 9 gracefully, comfortably, in a myriad of ways. And I applaud you, and I wish you guys would drop a tutorial or a LinkedIn learning course so I could fully invest. And for those of you who are listening, if you know anybody at Vice Media, just shoot your girl a shot. I guarantee you, if I get a job at Vice Media sweeping the floors, I'll have a show in 6 months. That's how sure I am of my greatness. But it's all about getting your foot in the door. And I'm just trying to make sure that my foot wasn't chopped off. Oh man, that is nuts, right? So that is why, if you see how I just went on for 53 minutes about just what it has been like in this past month. So you tell me why I don't have 10 episodes in queue, on top of actually going back to work, actually doing your job, actually going to therapy. It's so hard to be a Black gay woman, specifically this one, but there is nobody better equipped than me. And thank you for listening to Insequeer, the podcast. This is your Insequeer's fuck ass host. Shout out to the generations before me, the generations after me, and the generation that's with me. We gon' be all right. All right, niggas, slide out. And nigga enthusiasts and those who don't think nigga's appropriate. One day I don't have to do all of this, because I'm gonna use, if y'all think my mouth is reckless now, ooh, bitch. All right, y'all, get out. I gotta go to work. All right, y'all, bye.
Are you listening?